All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Chan, and welcome, Bell parents, current and new. We're so happy that you could join us tonight. We hope we'll be able to answer any questions that you may have. Given these times with COVID, we just want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to understand some of our policies and procedures to keep everyone safe and happy and healthy at school. So my name is Katie Miller. I'm the principal at Bell. Many of you know me. I've been at Bell for, this will be, I think, my 16th or 17th year. And we have a few new faces on the call that I just want to briefly introduce, and then we will jump right into providing you with some of that information. So Dr. Cosco is on the call. He is our current assistant principal who's been with us at Bell for the last, I want to say, 5 years. And then we have a new assistant principal. Rachel Carnaccio has joined us. We're very excited to have Ms. Carnaccio on our team this year. She's already gotten to know all of our staff who have started. The rest of our staff returns tomorrow, and she's just really blended right in, jumped in with both feet, and taken a very active role with all of the professional development this week. So it's been wonderful. And also on the call tonight is our new resident principal, Kayla McCabe. Ms. McCabe is with us this year as a resident. She is in a program, a principal preparation program with UIC. And I'm just thrilled to be working with Ms. McCabe. We've worked together before, but it's really wonderful to work with her in this new capacity. And she, just as Ms. Carnaccio has really jumped in, and both have already made such wonderful contributions to our school staff culture, and we can't wait for you to meet them yourselves. So we do have the presentation that we sent out to everyone with the email, and we don't really want to go over every slide tonight, but Dr. Cosco is going to hit some of the highlights with all of you. Because as you all probably know, the CDC has recently changed some of its guidance. And so we want to really try to stay current with all of the different changes that we're seeing and how those are impacting the policies at CPS. I noticed he just dropped off, so hopefully he'll be joining us back in just a moment. So what he's going to do tonight is just really, again, hit some of the big ideas, share some of the updates that we've been receiving for the last couple of days. And then we do really want to hear your questions. So, Mr. Chan, if any of our audience members have questions, would you like to them to submit them via the chat, or what's the best way? Okay. Oh, that's right. Dr. Cosco, did you want parents to submit questions via the form at the end of the presentation for tonight? Oh, we lost him again. So there should be an opportunity to, I might have to pull the presentation up myself with all these internet issues. Here we go. We'll give you a minute, Dr. Cosco.
Okay, my Wi-Fi dropped, of course, as soon as you started introducing us, Principal Miller, so I just moved to a different area in the house. I'm going to...
We were just wanting to clarify, if parents have questions this evening during your review, what's the best way you'd like them to submit?
For sure. So we are going to actually have a Google form on the very back end of the presentation. So we're just going to go through the slides that have already been shared out with everyone with their homeroom assignments last week. So if you have that, you can actually submit any questions that you have right now. And that's just going to be the easiest way. And then that allows us to compile all those, and we'll actually attach an FAQ onto this deck as well, just to make sure that we have everything answered and any questions that come up. I will say that if you're going to submit questions, I'm going to steal something from Lisa Miranda, our LSC chairperson. When she leads parent forums, she talks about we questions, not me questions. So if you do have a personal question about your student, we won't be addressing that live tonight, but we'll be sure to follow up with you. And there's actually an option for that in the Google form.
Great. All right. Well, then I'm going to let you take it away, Dr. Casco.
Great. So I'm sharing the presentation right now. We've already had a few updates, and so I really want to focus on some of the things that have changed from last year to this year, and also some of the things that have changed even since we sent this presentation out to everyone on Friday. So moving through talking about safety first. So the district has followed and made changes to a lot of their COVID protocols in response to the CDC guidance that was released on August 11th. So with masks and COVID vaccinations, masks are still optional, but very highly recommended. And students will be required to wear masks in certain situations. So if they test positive for COVID, they would have to wear it, the mask through day 6 and 10. If they're exposed to COVID-19, either in school or out of school, or if we do see a surge in Chicago and at the direction of the Chicago Department of Public Health, we would then have, we might move back to masks required. So just wanted to lay that out as that's going to be in line with current CDC guidance. Moving along, we also had a few updates to contact tracing. So contact tracing, before we were focusing on unvaccinated students, and so now we're going to be and they would have to, unvaccinated students might have to quarantine or isolate if they're exposed in the classroom. That is no longer the case with this new CDC guidance. So all close contacts within the classroom, if there is a positive case, we're required to wear a mask in school for 10 days following exposure. And then we also ask that if you do have a student or a family member that tests positive, it's your responsibility to report it to CPS. So this has not changed. As a member of the administrative team, you're a student's teacher, we can't make that we can't submit that on your behalf, that you would have to do that on your own. And the website is still the same as it was for the past 2 years. It's cps.edu/COVID results. So another thing that changed was test to stay. So the CDC is no longer recommending test to stay. And in response, any student or staff member who's exposed to COVID-19 in school is no longer required to work from home or learn from home for that 5 days, but will be required to wear that mask for 10. We do have plenty of rapid take-home tests. We had a delivery that arrived just yesterday. So we will be able to provide those for any family member or staff member if they're exposed, and strongly encourage families to use them. So those are the things that have changed just since we had sent this out on Friday. This is a living document, so please bookmark it. We're going to have it included in the Blink on a weekly basis, and we'll keep on making changes to it as we receive new guidance along the way. You'll see that we'll mark each page in the upper right-hand corner. We'll highlight it and just let you know when that page was updated. So that's a good way for you to keep up with information. And of course, if there's something big that changes, we'll make you aware through an all-school email. With that, one thing that has not changed is still the 6 student protocol. So we will have a care room at Bell this year. That's a room where students go if they're exhibiting any type of COVID symptoms. And we haven't received updated guidance from this. In the past, you've received a medical exclusion letter and would have to come back with a differential diagnosis from your pediatrician or a negative COVID test. We haven't received any guidance of if that would change. So this might change over the next week or two. So please, we will update you and update this document, but you can always check back too if you have any questions. So another big thing that had changed was remote learning. So remote learning is optional and only for students that test positive for COVID. So students are not going to be required to isolate. That's going to be at the decision of your family. So of course, if your student is very sick, we want them to stay at home and focus on getting better, but they're no longer mandated to engage in that remote learning. On this page, you'll see the minutes. So that hasn't changed from last year. And also the fact that we will not have synchronous specials instruction. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. So that really just is kind of a quick overview of how some of the health protocols look a little bit different from last year. And again, look a little bit different from when this was sent out last week. The last thing I want to point out is that we did include a slide on monkeypox. We have weekly meetings with our network, and the principals get together bi-weekly with CEO Martinez. And this is something that was raised as a concern, just given the fact that Governor Pritzker had declared the state of emergency at the beginning of the month. There's no current, I should say that the risk level for students or school-age children is currently low by Chicago Department of Public Health. And so we did link in here their guidance that they provided. So there's no concern at a school-based level, but just knowing that this is, that we have that state of emergency, and also that we have seen an increase of cases in Chicago, we wanted you to have this information as well. So I'm going to pause there, just again, a quick overview of safety protocols and how things have changed. Principal Miller, AP Carnaccio, Resident Principal McCabe, anything that I missed in this?
I don't think so.
Great. And if any questions, again, we'll have some time for Q&A at the end, and we're always available to answer questions. You know, if you email us, you're most likely to get a response by the end of the day. So we're trying to make sure that we get through our emails as quickly as possible, especially with the start of the school year. So let's talk a little bit about the school day and how things are going to look this year, especially compared to last year. So one thing that hasn't changed is attendance. If your student's absent, just please call the main office or send them with a note. We cannot accept emails. So again, note or a phone call to the attendance line. We will be rolling out as a district an e-absence reporting tool later this year, and we'll be sharing more information with that when that becomes available. So that will be a platform that you'll be able to submit those attendance absences without having to call or worry about a note, because we all know notes will often get lost somewhere in transit from your home to the main office. So this will hopefully eliminate that. And you can always view your students' attendance via Parent Portal. So hopefully everyone has been signed up for Parent Portal. If you do have any issues with it, if you've got your login, if you need to get it reset, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Mr. Chan, our tech quo. And all of our contact information is on our website if you don't have it readily available. With entry this year, we're going to go back to supervision on the turf. Starting at 7:45. So we will have our paraprofessionals out there monitoring the turf. So you can start dropping off your children as early as that time. Students will not be allowed in the building. They will have to wait outside until 8:15. And we will be lining up by homes, entering the building through assigned doors. So we started this after remote learning ended, and we moved into hybrid learning. It was really successful just to limit the exposure of students, but also makes it a smoother transition from the turf into the building, especially with a building our size. So on inclement weather days, so this is when it is below 20-degree wind chill, it's raining, sleeting, well, the students will be able to come inside if they arrive early. First floor students will be sitting outside of their classrooms, and second and third floor students will sit in the auditorium with their homerooms. And that's for contact tracing purposes. We just want to limit the number of students that are interacting with each other across the building. So hopefully that's good news for everyone that missed that last year. With that too, breakfast will be grab and go. This is same as last year, and we'll have stations at each of the doors. Transportation. If you have been at Bell for a long time, you know that this is my favorite thing to talk about. But Ms. Carnaccio will actually be taking over transportation for this school year. So thank you, Ms. Carnaccio. Similar to attendance, please send a note if there's any changes to if your student's going to be riding or not. If there is a last minute change, do not email teachers or administrators. We're not always able to check our emails, especially once the school year begins. So the best way to do that for a last minute change is just to call the main office. At the end of June, there was an announcement in the board meeting that there was going to be priority for diverse learners, and they were not able to promise transportation for all students. So that would include the students in our options program. So if you are a family of diverse learner and you have transportation as a related service, you can apply for a $500 a month stipend for foregoing transportation this year. That is only for families of diverse learners. Option students, if you do not need transportation, you will not receive a stipend this year. And if you are not routed due to a shortage of buses, you will be eligible for free CTA cards. So route information will be coming out this week. We usually receive it from the bus companies that Friday or even Saturday before school starts. So we'll be sure to share out whatever information we have this weekend. But in the meantime, you could expect either a call or a postcard from your assigned bus company. Any specific route questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to transportation directly. And we've linked the numbers right here, but it's also on the end of our slides where we have our resources. Specials. So this is another change this year. We are going to go back to a 5-day specials rotation. So we are going to move away from the 5-week blocks and going back to a little bit what we did before. So we are not going to be using the Blaze schedule this year. If you're a returning family, you know that was done so that we could minimize the number of, knowing that we have a lot of Mondays and Fridays off, the number of times that students will miss those Monday and Friday classes. That kind of pans out evenly this year with the new calendar. So we're not going to go back to Blaze, but you will have a set schedule. So hopefully that makes it easier for you and your family. So that means that in first quarter, if your student has gym on Mondays, every Monday through that first quarter, they will have gym. And your homeroom teacher will be sharing that schedule with you and your student in the coming days. And we'll also be walking through it on that first day of school. So the students know what's expected of them and how they'll be moving through the building for that first quarter. And those special schedules will change each quarter. First and second quarter are pretty much the same. And you'll see new special rotation for quarter 3 and quarter 4. Another change is lunch recess. So we had quadrants last year. The students will be mixing in whichever their assigned areas. So half the students will be on the turf, the other half will be on the south lot, and they'll be able to mix between their homerooms while outside. If we see an increase in cases, we may modify these procedures as necessary. And dismissal, similar to entry, we will have those assigned doors, and that students that are riding the bus will be brought to the auditorium, and we'll use that as our staging area as we wait for the buses to arrive. K through 3 students can be picked up by an older sibling or an adult, so that hasn't changed, and 4th through 8th are able to leave themselves. So 2 big things about Bell are our extracurriculars. So talking about sports, we are only awarded 1 team per gender and grade level. So this is a change last year. What that means is that we might have to have tryouts if we have a large turnout of students, just so that we don't have a team of 45 students, which greatly reduces their playing time. So we are still waiting on all of the athletics information from CPS scores. We don't have the registration forms. We don't have the timelines or the dates for competitions or when season can start. So once we have that, that will be shared out to all of our 5th through 8th grade families by Ms. McCabe. So Kayla will be taking over sports this year. So again, we haven't received anything. If you're wondering why you haven't received the sports email, it's coming. We're just waiting on that information. Next would be out of school time. We had a great turnout for out of school time over the summer. So thank you for everyone that took advantage of those programs. The OST application was released last week. And so we're working on that. It's due this Friday. And once that's approved, we'll be sending out that registration information to all of our families. So our goal is to start the programs hopefully by the end of September, beginning of October, and they'll run through spring break. I'll be the lead on that. So you can expect that communication to come out from me once our grant is submitted and approved. You'll have the full course book and registration information. So to kind of wrap up, what do you do now? So we have this deck. So, sit down and review it with your student. It's a great way to reduce anxiety for the first day, that they know what to expect is coming from them. You can also make sure that your students' medical compliance. So this is important for K students, for our 6th grade students, and also any students that are transferring into Bell from outside of CPS. We just need to make sure that we have your up-to-date medical records. You can pay your student fees right now. All that information is on our website through ePay. Supply lists have been posted since May. So if you haven't purchased your supplies, don't worry, there's plenty of time before the first day of school. All those lists are on our website again, and they are by program and grade level. And then this week, as teachers are busy setting up their classrooms, we just ask that you reach out to the administration with any questions, concerns that you have. We want to make sure that we free up the teaching staff as much as possible just to get their rooms ready, to get everything ready so your child walks in and is ready to have an amazing school year starting on Monday. So after that, any classroom-specific questions, you can direct them to your teacher, but we just want to give them as much time this week to focus on what they need to do to make sure that they're ready and their rooms are ready to welcome everyone. And second to last, we have all of our contacts and resources. So all of our email addresses are right here. You also have our network office. So Bell is a part of Network 4. It's a group of elementary schools around North Center and kind of dips down into Logan Square. The CPS Parent Support Center is always a resource for you. And we've also linked the CPS Transportation, Office of Diverse Learner Services and Supports, and Access and Enrollment contact information here as well. Whew, that was a lot. So I'm going to take a break for a second, and I will put up our questions. So you can either type this into your phone, you can scan the QR code, and feel free to submit any questions. I will pause for a minute. Principal Miller, if you want to jump in with any words about the presentation, and then we'll start going through questions as they come in.
Wonderful. Honestly, I feel like you did a great job covering everything. I just hope that the parents feel like they have all the answers to any questions that you may have. So again, as Michael noted earlier, please submit questions that relate to our general school-wide population. And then if you have something that is really individualized to your particular family, you can definitely email me or Dr. Costco, and then we can respond to you with that more personal information.
So nothing's come through yet. We can practice our wait time. We'll give it a few more minutes.
Okay.
Sure. York, I don't have that pulled up. Would you mind sharing those with us? So it's just our main number, 773-534-5150, and there's an option to leave a message for the attendance office.
And we do have that checked every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I can take that, Michael, so you get a rest for a moment. OST stands for out of school time, and it actually evolved from the After School Matters program that was in place years ago. It is a grant-funded program that we typically apply for every year. So Bell has always applied for that grant. We've received it, luckily, most years, but the amounts always vary. And that grant allows us to provide free programming to parents and students in our community after school. The programming will vary from year to year based on the staff who sign up to facilitate different programs. And the programs can range from anything such as homework help and tutoring to playing board games to any type of sports. We've had classes such as knitting or cooking. So a lot of it is based on the particular interests and the talents and classes that our staff enjoys leading with students. And again, it's all free, and we invite all age levels. Sometimes it's dependent upon what the topic is. For our older students, for example, we do have a Rockstar Club, but that really is limited more to the upper grade students who have some of that musical experience coming in already. Since COVID has started, though, the district has really provided a lot of this funding without the stipulation of having to apply for a grant. So rather than having schools apply, all schools have been receiving additional OST funding to support summer programming and continue engagement for our students during this time, as well as during the school year. So we did not have to apply for the last year and a half. We just received funding, and that was based on the number of students that we have and the large programs that we have. This year, we do have an opportunity for additional funding, but we do have to apply for it. And we are going to be applying. The thing that I think is sometimes challenging is that we don't typically receive the funding until sometime in late September or October. So the OST programs usually don't start until October because it does take us time to solicit the staff, to develop our budget, to get our supplies ready, and then to go through the registration process. So we hope that we'll have the grant this year. We hope that we will be able to get that information out to parents as soon as we can this fall. And everyone receives an opportunity to register for those classes. So hopefully that information was helpful, but if you have any other questions about OST programming, please do feel free to reach out. And as Dr. Costco stated, he is the lead on that program this year.
Thanks, Principal Miller.
Sure. So once we send out the registration form, it's really just a catalog of all the descriptions of our classes, and then it's a Google form. So it's a very simple, if you're interested in signing up for a class, it's a very simple form that you just need to fill out. And then we receive that information and we'll process your registration. So once we get that, you'll receive a confirmation email. The 21st Century Kids program that is actually an outside vendor that we partner with is a tuition-based program. And they provide enrichment classes. They provide a lot of STEAM-based Lego, robotics, engineering type of classes, as that is sort of their specialty. But they also help coordinate some of our other outside vendors. So beyond the STEAM classes, we also have things like violin, piano, art. So they offer a wide range of those enrichment classes, which run for an hour after school. The schedule always varies. So if you're interested in just having your child maybe do an art class after school, you can also sign up for those enrichment classes, but they are tuition based. So there is a fee attached. The big piece that they provide is aftercare. So they offer aftercare 5 days a week up until 6 p.m. And parents, again, can really use that as it fits best with the needs of their family. So some children will attend aftercare 5 days a week. Some drop in, some attend 2 days a week, 3 days a week. It's very flexible, but again, that is a tuition-based program. So there is a fee involved with any of the 21st Century program. And all of that information, their website is linked to our website. So all of their information can be found by going to our website and just clicking on the 21st Century website.
Great. And Principal Miller, they're going to be starting aftercare through 21st Century that first day of school, correct?
That's right. Aftercare starts on the very first day of school and goes all the way till the very last day. The other piece that I'll note is, you might be wondering, well, if I sign my child up, like, how do I make sure that they get from their classroom to the aftercare program? We work directly with the 21st Century Kids program, so that is all coordinated by us. You don't have to worry at all about managing how your child would get from one program to the other. The 21st Century staff, they pick up the younger students directly from their classrooms. Older students know where their transition points are and are able to meet the staff at those points in the building. And then, of course, our staff is always there for supervision at the end of the day, too, to make sure that everyone gets to the correct place. So parents never have to worry about trying to make sure that those transitions are happening. Yes. So we know that was a really hard transition for our kids during COVID, that they didn't get to have lunch and recess, or even during school see some of their friends who they share closer relationships with if they were not in the same homeroom. Now that the guidance has changed quite a bit, we do want to make sure to bring some of that back for our kids. So the only thing we really just have to be mindful of is doing it in a very detailed and strategic way with seating charts and very consistent schedules, because we still do have to engage in contact tracing if there is a case. So we are working with our teachers on schedules this week, but there definitely will be opportunities for students to be with other students outside of their homerooms. So they will not be cohorted as stringently as they were last year, which I hope is, exciting and fun news for everyone. Sure. All of our classrooms actually do have big, huge, what we call coat closets, where the students have their own individual either hooks or like little cubby areas where they can hang their coats, their backpacks. In the wintertime, we try to use our large Ziploc bags so that materials can be well organized. So in terms of their own personal items that they use to bring their things to school, that's how those are managed. And then the teachers, they have very, very organized systems for making sure that materials are separated in the classroom. They do use a lot of cubbies for materials in the classroom where kids have their own bins. So our teachers are very organized. But again, they have their own varying little methods of how to do that. But in general, if we're just talking about backpacks, coats, those are stored in the little coat closets within the classrooms. And again, every child has their own designated little area. Yes and yes. We definitely have binders that we do pass out to the middle schoolers every year. It's something we found to be very successful in terms of helping our students keep themselves organized. We're trying to be mindful that, some kids may not need a brand new one every year. So if we find that students don't really need to have a new one, they can continue to use their previous year's binder. But I think for the most part, everybody likes to have a fresh start. Those do receive a lot of wear and tear over the course of the year. But every middle schooler does have access to receive a binder. Sure. So physical forms are required for anyone who is brand new to the district, whether it's whatever grade they're in. Kindergartners and sixth graders also have to submit those. So those are the two grades where physicals are required. Sixth graders are also required to get the TDAP and the pertussis, I believe. Well, that's included in that. That was a newer requirement that just came in a couple of years ago. And then obviously when the children are younger, those earlier vaccinations all have their own schedules, and all students are required to just keep up with those schedules as dictated by Illinois state law. So I don't know if I missed anything there, Michael, but I think that covers it.
For sure. As sixth graders, the second vaccination is required is the meningitis, meningococcal, so the MCV4. So if your pediatrician will most likely have all of this information for you. It's really easy to download it. You have a MyChart, and they're very familiar with what CPS's requirements are. If you're interested, if you just Google CPS medical requirements, the CPS Office of School Health and Wellness has a chart with everything that's needed and when. So you can also start planning ahead for, if you have a kindergartner, planning ahead for sixth grade, but also what their requirements will look like when they get to high school. Sure. So on inclement weather, if students that have a homeroom on the first floor will actually sit outside of their homeroom. Students that are on the second or third floor, if they arrive early, they will be staged in the auditorium, and they will be seated by their homeroom. So that's a place where we can hold everyone and have enough supervision before releasing them. There was a question that also came through in the Google form about this, and I didn't even think about it, was what door do students enter on inclement weather days? So on those days, instead of going through their assigned door, all students can come through the main office, the main entrance, and we'll be able to direct them to the best spot if they're arriving early that day.
Absolutely. Yes, we definitely really want to invite people to take advantage of opportunities that we have for volunteering. The first one I can think of is we have our Big Bell Walk that happens in October, and we definitely need a lot of volunteers for that. We also have our other two big fundraisers. Those take place later in the year, Wish List and then Step In the spring. And then there definitely are opportunities on field trips. We hope that we'll be able to take more of those this year. And finally, there are opportunities depending on like the grade level and the activities that are happening in the classrooms for parents to support in the classroom. So that's absolutely something that we will allow again this year. Volunteers do have to have proof of vaccination in order to be in the building. They do have to follow the CPS protocol of applying online to be either a level 1 or level 2 volunteer, depending on the number of hours that they are with students. And then the other opportunities that we hope will start to pull in our volunteer opportunities in the library to help Miss Aldrin with reshelving books and reorganizing. I think Miss Perlmutter is also excited to welcome volunteers back into the art room. So if you are interested in any of those, you can certainly reach out to those teachers. We just ask that at the beginning of the year in particular, you are a little patient with their response time, and they may not be ready for volunteers right off the bat. But those are really some big ones, and we're very excited and very grateful to have volunteers working in the building again this year. Yes, all teachers are expected to send weekly communication home to parents to just share updates, to share announcements, to share information about activities. So every teacher has their own style and method for doing so. Some teachers will send a newsletter, some will have a website. But there is an expectation that there is weekly communication from teachers, just again, to share information with parents about what's happening in the classroom. We are developing a very strong, we hope, parent communication plan as a school. We understand that, we still are in these COVID times and that not everybody either has the access or the comfort level of coming to the building and being part of all of the, the various events that we have. So we really want to provide parents with opportunities to still feel connected to the school and to still have a really strong sense of what's happening in the building. So I really encourage everyone to take advantage of the Bell School Blink. That's our weekly e-newsletter. So we are trying to add a lot of information to that every week. Not only what is coming up, but what has been taking place. So the Blink is a great source of information about the school. I plan to send monthly newsletters to hopefully provide some broader updates regarding Bell and our school improvement planning, any district initiatives, any other events that Friends of Bell is supporting. So that's part of our plan as well. And then the other thing that we're really trying to think about is offering some more opportunities for parents to be part of our community. So bringing back some of our family nights, thinking about maybe some parent workshops that we can offer safely in the building. And those, again, will all be communicated out with a lot of notice, we hope. Again, through the Blink, through direct email blasts. So these are all things that we're really intentionally thinking about so that parents do feel connected and that they do feel like they understand what's happening in the building. Yeah, so our the CPS lunch program menu is posted on the CPS website, and that's linked to our school website. We have had some issues, which is really directly related to the supply chain issue with what our lunchroom manager has the ability to serve versus what the CPS menu actually states. Sometimes she doesn't receive the supplies that the district menu states. So she has to do the best that she can with what is delivered. I hope that's going to be better this year. But we do want our parents to know what's available in the lunchroom. So there is that information posted. And again, it's linked on our school website. All school lunches at this time are free, and that's through a federal grant. I've been reading that grant is at some point soon potentially going to be ending. I'm not sure what the timeline on that is, but we will absolutely reach out if anything that it's currently existing in our lunchroom changes. But at the moment, any student is able to receive a school lunch for free.
And that also goes for breakfast too. So it's breakfast and lunch. So I had a few. I had a few questions that came through on the form that we're going to go through as well. So thank you for everyone that sent those in. We'll be compiling these into an FAQ and linking that in the guidance as well, and even updating some of the guidance just to clarify any points that we thought were clear but might not have been clear on your end. So the Principal Miller, you talked about field trips. What about play talent show activities this year?
Yes, we definitely want to bring all of those back. So we are in the works, the very early works of trying to schedule the time frame for a spring school musical. I'm not sure where we are with the talent show just yet. I want to be mindful of what's on teachers' plates right now. But we're definitely going to be talking through some of those. Sometimes it's very difficult to manage both of those large events in one year. So a spring musical is definitely going to be happening. We did bring back some of our residencies last year that we were able to bring back. A few of our partners, unfortunately, just didn't have the capacity last year, but we're hoping that we can bring back all of our residencies this year. So yes, all of those things are definitely on the table, and we're excited and looking forward to seeing some of the events that we feel are just, wonderful traditions at Bell.
There were a few questions that came through about attendance and what to do if your child's sick. So I'll give an example. If you have, your child has strep throat, so you call them out and you anticipate that they're going to be able to attend school the next day. So in that situation, you call them the first day. If they wake up on that second day and they're still not feeling well and you're going to keep them home, you would call the office again and leave a message saying that they're out that day. So it's best just to keep up with that if your child's going to be out, or you can send a note when they return to school excusing that absence or explaining those absences. So again, it's your choice. I think that the phone calls are easier so that you know that it's actually received and someone's going to listen to it. And like I said, sometimes backpacks can be black holes and things just happen to disappear. So that gives you peace of mind that your message has been received. We're trying to move away from having parents come into the building and drop off notes themselves during entry. That just helps with the flow. We're looking at four doors and almost 900 students. There's a lot of students coming through each entrance, and so that just helps with preventing any crashes and helps the flow, get everyone in the class as quickly as possible.
And just to also note, Dr. Costco, any visitors do have to come through the main entrance. That's a requirement.
Yes. So another question came through about how many recesses kindergartners have. All of our students have 2 recesses. So they have their lunch recess, and then they'll either have a morning or an afternoon recess, depending on their schedule and their grade level. Principal Miller, we were talking about this with the staff this week. Can you talk a little bit about the dress code updates?
Yes. Some of you may know that, I don't know if the district has actually formally announced this, but they will be reviewing all school dress codes to ensure that they are gender neutral and that they are free from any racial bias. And so we are in the process right now of reviewing our dress code and updating it. So we will be releasing a revised handbook, because we're actually reviewing all of our procedures at the moment with our staff. So parents will receive information through our handbook once those processes are completed.
Thank you. Another question came through about medical forms. Where do you submit those? If you just registered your student, you might have uploaded those already. Anything else outstanding, feel free to email them directly to me, and I'll make sure that they get to our nursing staff now that they're back in the building. I just clicked on the tab.
A few questions about the band program. We are running our Band for Today program. That is a tuition-based program, and we offer it during the lunch hour. So students are able to access it if they do ride the bus, because sometimes if students ride the bus and it's after school, then they are not able to stay. That's why we offer it during the school day, during lunch. Information about Band for Today and recruitment and signups is going to be coming out very soon. That program is open to students in grades 4 through 8. So more information will be forthcoming. Keep an eye out in the Blink, in your email, and you can definitely sign up for that program. Again, that is a tuition-based program.
There's a question that came through about masking in the 10-day policy. That's 10 days, not 10 school days. So if your child is exposed on a Friday, the guidance would be for them to mask while out on that Saturday and Sunday. Those 2 days would count towards that 10-day. We talked about field trips already. There was a question about OST running for shorter periods. During the school year, we really run it for the entire year, and there's questions about maybe doing quarterly or having them switch in the middle. We'll definitely look into that. It allows for flexibility with parent schedules, and also if you have your students in specific sports activities or other extracurriculars that are seasonal, it doesn't run into those OSTs. So it's definitely something that we're talking about and will be included in the registration information in the course book when it's ready and sent out to you. A few questions came through about sports. Sports signups, we're just awaiting all of the forms and information from CPS SCORE. I would hope that we would have it before the first day of school so we can send all that out to everyone next week. I have followed up with SCORE myself, and they're just waiting to send it out. So hopefully we have it soon. And again, as soon as we have it, we'll be able to share it out with you. If you're interested in volunteering to coach for sports, we always look for parent volunteers if we don't have staff members available. So there'll be a sign-up sheet in there as well to coach. You would have to be a level 1 volunteer to coach.
There's also a question about our big overnight trips in the upper grades. And yes, those are going to be happening again this year. So be on the lookout for that information. We have not even started planning those yet, so we don't have dates. But we actually have been in contact with the travel company. So at least we've made that connection. So those trips will be happening, and we'll try to get that information out as soon as it becomes available.
And Principal Miller, I know that you work closely with Girl Scouts. We had a few questions about Girl Scout troops for first grade and fourth grade. If you are an incoming student or interested in Girl Scouts, what's the process to getting connected with them?
So we don't run Girl Scout troops. That's typically run by parents, and then they enter into a rental agreement with us to just be able to host those troops at the school. So if anyone is interested in starting a troop and becoming a troop leader, you can email me and I can try to get you in touch with one of the other troop leaders. I'm in the process of doing this right now. We try to coordinate all the dates so that the troops all meet on the same day. That's the best way for us to facilitate that space need in the building. And then we work through the logistics through that rental agreement. But we don't organize the troops. The Girl Scouts just organize it outside of Bell, and then they reach out to us for the space piece. So if you are interested in being a troop leader, I can put you in touch with someone who I think can help you with that.
There was another question that came through about volunteering. So what's the process going through volunteer? So that's all run through the district's Family and Community Engagement Department, FACE. The easiest way to find their information is just to Google CPS volunteer, and it will take you right to the link. There's a level 2 and a level 1. Level 1 is going to require a TB test and also a background check. So that's the more strict one, and that allows you to go on overnight trips, some field trips, all field trips, and also to be a coach. Level 2 still allows you to be in the building, to work with students, to go on some field trips, and the difference is depending on what type of field trip it is. If you are only level 2, you're not allowed to be alone with students without a CPS staff member accompanying you. So if you were to go to a play, for example, and everyone's together, that might be a level 2 volunteer situation. Or if you're going to the zoo and you're breaking up into small groups, you would need to be a level 1. So that's the difference between those two levels. Level 1 is great to have just because you don't know what's going to come up with your schedule and maybe wanting to coach soccer or to go on the 7th grade trip. So if you do have the time to go through that, we'd recommend going through level 1. This gives you more flexibility in what you can volunteer with at Bell.
Assemblies, and yes, we do hope to have those back and allow parents to come in person to view. We may modify some of the procedures that we're doing to view those shows, obviously, because we want to provide the safest and healthiest environment for all of our visiting families. So we might work some, alternative details out to allow people to feel like they can safely come and watch those shows. But we do hope to have those back for families this year. And then there was a question also about paying fees and logging in through Aspen. So we do not collect student fees using Aspen. ePay is the system online that you can use to pay your school fees, and that's linked on our school website. So if you are interested in paying your fees online, you can go to our school website, scroll down to the ePay button. It's very easy to pay there. You do not pay fees through Aspen. That is a district-wide option, but we prefer to use ePay.
And transportation. So, Ms. Carnaccio, I'm not going to throw this one at you. I'll take it. About a situation if you have not received your contact information yet, you still have a few more days. So if you haven't heard from the bus company, again, you can wait a few more days, or you can reach out to the CPS transportation department directly. Once we have all the information, or whatever information we do have, we'll be sure to share that with you. There might be a situation, and that was just submitted, where you have an options student and a sibling that's in the neighborhood program, and the options student you received this notice for them, but not for the sibling. That could be that the sibling hasn't been routed yet, or that the sibling is not going to be routed and won't be included in transportation this year. So in those situations, please reach out to the CPS transportation department directly, and they'll be able to clarify what that is. Unfortunately, we don't have all that information yet. We will be sure to share whatever information we do receive from the bus companies, from CPS, later this week with you before the first day of school. And one question about SICK student protocol and what kind of test is required. It has been the case that when a student visits the care room that we would need a lab confirmed COVID test, so a home test wouldn't be acceptable. I'm not sure if that guidance is going to change, especially with the update to the CDC guidance. So that's the current policy. If anything does change, we'll be sure to update this deck with that information.
I mean, what perfect timing. Our parents are on it. It is 7:30 on the dot. Are those the last of the questions?
That's everything that's come through, and I don't think anything else on YouTube. So thank you, everyone, for your time, for spending your evening with us, especially around dinner time. We would greatly appreciate it. We started doing this a few years ago during remote learning. And I actually love this tradition. I think it's a great way to start the school year, to share all the new changes and exciting things that are happening at Bell, but also to give you the opportunity to ask as many questions of us as possible. So we will be, again, linking all of these questions in an FAQ and attaching it on here. And even with some of the feedback, I'll be clarifying some of the slides as well. So thank you for partnering with us and helping us to improve our communication and ensuring that we have everything in place and you know what's in place for the school year for everyone to be successful.
I also just want to put a very last minute plug in. The Blink that went out today had the curriculum night dates on there, and they're on our school calendar, and curriculum night will be in person this year, I'm excited to say. So make sure that you look at the school calendar and make note of those curriculum nights. We're really excited to be able to host those in person this year. And we're just really excited to see everybody. I hope many of you can make it to meet the teacher tomorrow. Not a big deal if you can't, but we're just really excited to be able to connect with everyone in person. So looking forward to a wonderful school year. I got to tell you, we're really optimistic about this year. It feels really good. So we hope you have found this to be helpful. Yes, here's the map for tomorrow morning's event, 8:30 to 9:30. Stop by anytime between that time frame. And then we'll look forward to seeing everyone on the 22nd. So have a great evening, everyone. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you looked at this map when it was sent out earlier today, you might notice it's a little bit different. We had to make some changes. So the 21st century will be on the turf, so we'll no longer be using that. And we have ADA construction around the butterfly garden, so they're improving our ramps leading into the auditorium. So that's all blocked off as well. So these assignments look a little bit different. You'll only be able to enter through one entrance on the south lot. So we'll have staff members out there. Our security team is back tomorrow. So Mr. Smith and Mr. Alexander will be there directing traffic and making sure that you can find where you need to go. So again, apologize for the last minute notice, but we were hoping this construction project was going to be done a little bit sooner than it has been.
Always a lot of action over at the Bell. So we look forward to seeing everyone again. Thank you so much for taking time tonight.